I'm just itching to get back out on the court and kind of feel like myself again. And I've been putting in a lot of hard work, and I got USA basketball coming up, so looking forward to that too.
Yeah, I was happy to see you.
Yes, sir, Reg. Reg knows.
You get a couple.
The WNBA just made a catastrophic mistake that could cost them everything they've built over the past year, and the entire basketball world is watching in absolute disbelief. Caitlin Clark, the player who single-handedly dragged women's basketball into mainstream consciousness, just landed a massive broadcasting deal with NBC Universal. You'd think the league would be celebrating, right? Rolling out the red carpet for their golden child? Instead, they did something so shocking, so tone-deaf, that fans across the country are now calling for a full-scale boycott. The WNBA League Office, under the direction of Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, issued a formal warning to Caitlin Clark about this NBC deal.
Caitlin Clark, I'm curious though, because one of the things he said was like, I'm thinking in my mind, let's keep them quiet. Have you gone into a big game with literally that on your mind, like walking into the arena?
Well, I feel fortunate enough. A lot of the arenas we go into, a lot of people are cheering for our team, which is pretty nice.
Snap.
But there are some road games, I think, even the Liberty fans.
Not a congratulations. Not a press release celebrating her success. A warning. A legal document essentially telling her to watch her step because this broadcasting opportunity might constitute a conflict of interest. Let that sink in for just a moment. The league that pays this generational talent $76,000 a year is trying to police how she makes millions on the side. And fans? They're not just angry. They're ready to burn the entire establishment down. Before we dive deeper into this absolute circus, I need you to drop a comment right now and tell me where you stand. Does the WNBA have any legitimate right to warn Caitlin Clark about working for NBC? Or is this nothing more than pure, undiluted jealousy from a league that's...
San Francisco, the Valkyries have a great crowd. Like, you want to take them out of it right away. You want to make them call the first time out. I think that's kind of what we always talk about, but that's what makes it fun. And I like what he said. If you're a star, like, these are the games you show up for. And that's really true. Like, these are the games that just mean a little bit more, like MSG on a Sunday night. Like, that's what you get up.
Cannot handle the reality that their biggest star has outgrown them? Because what we're witnessing here isn't just a business dispute. This is a league actively sabotaging its own resurrection. And the implications are staggering. Multiple insiders from within the organization have confirmed that this warning is real, that it's official, and that it came directly from the league office. This isn't speculation or tabloid gossip. The WNBA actually looked at Caitlin Clark's historic partnership with one of the biggest media companies in the world and decided their best move was to threaten her, not congratulate her for elevating the profile of women's basketball, not thank her for being the reason casual sports fans even know what the WNBA is anymore.
I'm a Caitlin Clark believer, but that's $300 to go sit at the top of State Farm Arena?
That's wild. That's wild. So the dream...
There ain't a Hawks game.
Right.
That costs $300. I'm talking Steph's there, LeBron's there, KD's there. You don't pay $300 to get in?
I think that's true.
No, they sent lawyers. They sent warnings. They sent the unmistakable message that, in their eyes, she's stepping out of line. Think about what Caitlin Clark has done for this league. She filled arenas that had been playing to crowds you could count on two hands. She broke viewership records that had stood for decades because, frankly, nobody was watching before. She made your grandmother, your uncle who only watches NFL football, and teenagers scrolling TikTok actually stop and pay attention to women's basketball. She became appointment television. And how does the league repay her? By treating her success as a problem that needs to be managed. By acting like her million-dollar opportunities are somehow...
Is she the biggest draw in basketball?
No.
Yes.
No.
I just proved it to you.
Dude, I still like...
She's the biggest draw in basketball. It's a Monday night in Atlanta, and she's going to sell out the arena, and it costs $296 to get in.
Betrayal of the game. The audacity is breathtaking, and fans can see right through it. Now, let's talk about the money, because this is where the whole situation becomes truly absurd. Caitlin Clark is currently playing under a contract that pays her roughly $76,000 per year from the WNBA. Let me repeat that. $76,000. That's a five-figure salary in professional sports. That's less than what the mascots running around in those costumes make in major leagues. That's less than what rookie equipment managers make in the NBA. And yet, The WNBA has the unbelievable nerve to tell this woman that she can't go out and earn millions from NBC because it might distract from her.
After Caitlin Clark injury. The getting price for the Chicago Sky versus Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever game was $86. After Caitlin Clark's injury announcement is now down to $25. And you Angel Reese fangirls will still believe and think that Angel Reese is the reason why people are
Basketball career. They're treating a player they compensate like an intern as if they have total ownership over her life, her time, and her future. They're acting as if she's LeBron James pulling down $50 million a year with ironclad exclusive obligations written into every clause of her contract. But she's not. She's making less in a year than most NBA players make in a single game. The league is essentially telling her, we own you. You work for us first. NBC is your side hustle, and you better remember that. Except here's the reality check nobody at the WNBA seems willing to accept. When your side hustle pays 50 times more than your so-called main job, that side hustle isn't a side hustle anymore. That's your career. That's your future. That's your financial security. And this is where the power dynamic has fundamentally shifted, whether the WNBA wants to acknowledge it or not. Caitlin Clark doesn't work for the WNBA anymore. The WNBA works for Caitlin Clark. She is the economy of that entire league. She's the reason they just secured a massive new media rights deal. She's the reason attendance numbers doubled practically overnight. She is the stimulus package that pulled that league back from the brink of total irrelevance. Without her, they're right back to half-empty arenas and games broadcast at 2 in the afternoon on channels nobody has in their cable package. And instead of understanding this, instead of doing everything in their power to make her happy, to make her feel valued, to roll out the red carpet and beg her to stay, what are they doing? They're trying to put a leash on her. They're trying to cage the tiger. And here's what they don't seem to understand. You don't control a tiger by locking it in a cage. You lose the tiger completely. You wake up one morning and the cage is empty and the tiger is gone, and you're left with nothing but regret and an empty stadium. Let's address this supposed conflict of interest, because the argument the league is making is so flimsy it almost feels insulting. Their position is that because NBC broadcasts NBA games and Caitlin will be part of that coverage, promoting the NBA somehow dilutes her commitment to the WNBA. Are you kidding me right now? Promoting basketball helps basketball. Full stop. Period. End of discussion. If Caitlin Clark is on television every single Sunday night during NBA games talking about the sport, if she's covering the Olympics and bringing that signature energy and insight to a global audience, you know what that does? It brings eyeballs back to the WNBA. It creates interest. It builds the brand. This is free marketing of the highest possible quality, the kind of exposure you literally cannot buy with any advertising budget in the world. But the WNBA is so desperately insecure, so pathologically terrified that the NBA is going to steal her spotlight, that they're willing to sabotage their own growth just to make some petty territorial point. It's small-time thinking. It's loser mentality. It's the kind of behavior you'd expect from a league that's been irrelevant for so long they genuinely don't know how to handle being in the spotlight. But here's the part that mainstream media won't touch. The uncomfortable truth that's being whispered in locker rooms and front offices across the league. This warning didn't just come from lawyers and executives worried about contract language. This came from internal pressure. This came from the old guard. For months now, we've been hearing rumblings about jealousy and resentment bubbling under the surface. You've got veterans who have been grinding in this league for 10 years, who spent their off seasons playing overseas in Russia and Turkey, who broke their bodies for minimal pay and zero recognition. And now they look up and see this young player flying on private jets, signing 8-figure endorsement deals, and becoming the literal face of NBC Sports. And they're furious. They feel like they put in the work, they paid the dues, and this kid just shows up and gets handed the kingdom. Sources close to the situation say the players' union and veteran leadership have been in Commissioner Engelbert's ear constantly, saying things like, "It's not fair. Why does she get to do this? Is she a part-time player now? Does she even care about the league?" And the league, desperate to keep the peace, desperate not to alienate the rest of the roster, is bowing to the mob. They're issuing this warning as a political move to appease jealous veterans who feel like they're being replaced. They're trying to send a message to the locker room that says, "See, We're tough on her too. She's not bigger than the league. But here's the reality check that Kathy Engelbert desperately needs to hear. Caitlin Clark is bigger than the league. That's not an opinion. That's not hype. That's statistical, undeniable fact. Look at the television ratings. Look at attendance figures. Look at merchandise sales. Without Caitlin Clark, this league goes right back to flying commercial and playing in arenas that are 3/4 empty. Without her, that $2.2 billion media rights deal never happens. She is the rainmaker, and you do not threaten the person who makes it rain. So let's play this out. What happens if the WNBA actually thinks they have leverage here? What's their next move? Are they going to suspend her? Please, I am begging them to try. I want to see them suspend Caitlin Clark for taking a job with NBC, and watch what happens next. The moment they pull that trigger, they turn her into a martyr. The entire fan base revolts instantly. The boycotts that are happening right now, the angry tweets, the op-eds, all of that would look like nothing compared to the nuclear fallout that would follow a suspension. Nobody would buy tickets. Nobody would watch games. Arenas would be ghost towns. And here's the kicker that should terrify every executive in that league office. The sponsors don't care about the WNBA. State Farm, Gatorade, Nike, all those massive brands cutting checks, they're not investing in a logo. They're investing in Caitlin Clark, the person. If the league goes to war with her, if they make her the villain, those sponsors will pull their funding so fast it'll make your head spin. The WNBA is literally playing chicken with their own survival, and they're driving straight toward the cliff with their eyes closed. Now, let's talk about the legal nuclear option, because NBC Universal is not some small regional network that's going to back down from a fight. NBC is owned by Comcast. They have legal teams that cost more per hour than the entire WNBA salary cap. If the WNBA actually tries to interfere with Caitlin fulfilling her NBC contract, they're going to get sued into absolute oblivion. NBC didn't sign Caitlin Clark to sit on the bench and smile for the camera. They signed her to be the face of their basketball coverage. They've got the Olympics coming up in Los Angeles. They've got national ad campaigns in the works. They have tens of millions of dollars invested in this partnership. Do you honestly think NBC is going to let a niche league like the WNBA dictate their programming decisions? This is a battle between Godzilla and a gecko. The WNBA is bringing a knife to a nuclear war, and it shows a complete and utter lack of basic business sense. This is why the word disgraceful is trending across every social media platform right now. Meanwhile, Caitlin's camp has remained quiet publicly, but sources say they are absolutely baffled by this entire situation. They're looking at this warning, asking themselves one simple question. Do you want us to leave? Because that's the message the league is sending, whether they realize it or not. They're effectively telling Caitlin, you're too big for us. We can't handle your success. We don't want you to grow unless it's on our terms and our timeline. That is a profoundly dangerous game to play with generational talent. Because here's what the WNBA seems to have forgotten. Caitlin Clark has options. Real options. She could go play in Europe tomorrow and make $5 million a year. She could start her own league with private investors who would line up around the block for the opportunity. She could retire from professional basketball completely and make $20 million annually just being a broadcaster and brand ambassador. She does not need the WNBA. The WNBA needs her. And the fact that the leadership doesn't seem to understand the power dynamic is genuinely terrifying for the future of women's basketball. Think about the message this sends to the next generation of stars. Paige Bueckers is watching this. Juju Watkins is watching this. They're seeing exactly how the league treats its biggest star. They're seeing the pettiness, the warnings, the complete lack of protection and support. Why would Paige Bueckers want to join a league that tries to control every dollar she makes off the court? Why would Juju Watkins want to be the savior of a league that punishes its saviors? This isn't just about damaging the relationship with Caitlin Clark. This is about poisoning the well for an entire decade of talent. The timing makes this even more infuriating. The league issued this warning right as the NBC News was reaching its peak, right as fans were getting excited, right as the sports world was celebrating another massive win for women's basketball. And what did the WNBA do? They stepped on their own headline. They turned a positive story into a controversy. Instead of the narrative being WNBA star conquers media, now the story is WNBA petty war continues. They stole the joy. Every single time Caitlin Clark does something incredible, the league finds some way to ruin it with politics and petty power plays. So what happens next? Does Caitlin Clark back down? Knowing everything we know about her competitiveness, knowing how she handles pressure, knowing that she's never walked away from a challenge in her entire life? Absolutely not. She's going to show up on NBC. She's going to hold that microphone. She's going to interview LeBron James and Steph Curry and whoever else they put in front of her. And she's going to dare the WNBA to do something about it. She's calling their bluff. And when that moment comes, the league will have exactly two choices. They can suspend her and destroy everything they've built, or they can back down and look weak in front of the entire basketball world. There is no winning scenario here because they picked a fight they cannot possibly win. If I were advising Caitlin right now, I'd tell her to go even harder. We're the NBC Blazer courtside at WNBA games. Do live segments for the Today Show from inside the arena. Force the issue. Make them look as ridiculous as they're acting. Expose the tyranny. Because the only way this changes is if fans and sponsors revolt so loudly that the league has no choice but to back down and apologize. Kathy Engelbert needs to understand something fundamental about the modern sports landscape. Athletes today are brands unto themselves. The creator economy has completely changed the game. You don't own these players. You partner with them. You lift your stars up. You celebrate their success. You don't drag them down out of insecurity and fear. This warning is actually a badge of honor for Caitlin Clark. It proves beyond any shadow of doubt that she has outgrown the league. She's a whale swimming in a kiddie pool, and the lifeguards are blowing whistles because she's splashing too much water. The league, as we know it, is headed for complete collapse if they don't course correct immediately. You cannot survive a war with your own customers, and make no mistake, the customers are overwhelmingly Team Caitlin. The fans who packed those arenas, who bought those jerseys, who stayed up late watching games they never cared about before, they're not going to side with league administrators trying to control her career. This could genuinely be the beginning of the end for the current WNBA establishment if they don't fix this fast. So there you have it. The WNBA just issued a formal warning to Caitlin Clark for taking a broadcasting deal that pays 50 times what basketball does, and fans are ready to burn the entire league down over it. This might legitimately be the most self-destructive decision in professional sports history. If you think the WNBA is completely out of line and that Caitlin should ignore this warning and do whatever she wants, smash that like button right now and subscribe to this channel. And tell me in the comments, would you actually boycott the league if they suspended her over this? Because I genuinely want to know where you stand. This story is far from over, and the next few weeks could determine the entire future of women's professional basketball.